Hey church, Pastor Bob here in our beautiful shelter house right by the pond, and I am joined by Heather Starbuck. Heather has been a part of Salem for going on 2 years now and has an incredible story to tell. And as part of the I Want My Life Back series that we're in right now, I could think of very few people who have a story to tell that's as good as Heather's, that is a story of not just how she got her life back, but how she's keeping her life back. Heather, thanks so much for being here.
No problem.
I know it's chilly out, but we're bundled up, and you guys at home can't see it. We got a good fire going on. But Heather, start us out from the beginning. You know, your life hasn't always been where it is today.
No.
So tell us, kind of take us back to the beginning.
Okay. So it started out, I was young and very self-conscious, insecure with myself, and kind of just followed the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
And didn't know how to communicate properly in my emotions, wasn't sure what emotions really were. And I thought that anything other than being happy was wrong. And so the only way to get rid of those emotions were to live in an altered reality, block them, avoid them as much as possible. And from a very young age, I learned how to do that very successfully, just tuning out of my life. And I was never present. I was just there. And it sent me down a very depressing road, so unhappy and very angry, but really didn't know what I was angry about. So I'd wake up just angry at life. And I really tried to take control on my own, and I really thought that I could do it. And there was many times that I was like, okay, I'm ready, I can do this, and I'm gonna do it all by myself.
Yeah.
And I don't need help, because I don't want people to know that I'm broken and that I'm messed up,
right,
and I'm not perfect. So I'm gonna get healthy, and then I'll show myself.
Yeah. So part of, I know your story is as like even maybe a teenager, part of masking those emotions were, to go right to substances.
Oh, straight, yeah. First it started smoking weed, cigarettes, and then drinking on the weekends. And then, of course, I moved from there.
Yeah.
To harder substances, but yeah, young age. I think I was 14.
Wow, 14, yeah. And so all at once now you find yourself in terrible position, homeless at one point.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah. My family actually just tired of me running in and out, and eventually they were like, all right, we're done. Like, you gotta go. You're not welcome here anymore until, you change. And so definitely was homeless, and it was rough. And
all of that's kind of stemming from your addiction, is that right?
All of it was stemming from the addiction. Yeah, I just had this drive. I couldn't stop. Like, no matter what it took from me, it didn't matter. Like, I wasn't stopping. My son, my mom would threaten me about my son. It didn't matter. I told her, like, it just has this pull on me, Mom. I can't explain it. Like, it just took over.
So when you were how old were you when you had your son?
20.
So 20 years old, here's this baby, but even the pull of addiction was still just too strong.
Yeah, he was about 2 or 3 when my addiction was very heavy. It just kept leading up to something stronger and stronger, because nothing would be good enough,
Yeah.
And I think he was like 3, and it just that's when it just took a hold of me. And I lost my job, I lost my car, my family.
Yeah. And then, I know you've shared with me, you found yourself addicted, homeless, in and out of jail, and a couple chances at rehab, and you find yourself like in a house. And bring us to that moment, that night.
So I was, it was late one night. I actually lived in an abandoned house. And I gave up. I said, all right, I can't do this alone. And I remember that night so vivid. And then I just said, God, please just help me. I can't do it. And from that night, my life has just completely changed. I was done masking it and just covering everything up. And I was be able to be vulnerable around people, and and that was a change for me, because just to tell people that you're broken, I thought was the scariest thing in the world, but that's what's in my life.
And before that, you were committed to getting better without God.
Oh, I remember that night too.
Yeah.
Because my dad would always speak God into my heart, and I don't know why. I fought it so bad, and I was like, no, that's not right. I was a very scientific person, and I questioned everything. And I was like, but then how's this? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna show you that I can do it without God. And then that's when I'm living out on Main Street, and I'm just so broken. I went down paths in my life I never thought that I would ever go down, because I just rejected the thought of God that God was presented to me, and I said absolutely not. Like, there's no way. And yeah, so I was taken down some really dark roads. And I remember when I had surrendered and I said, oh, God, I need you. He opened it up for me to be able to ask questions about my faith. So instead of just kind of follow how everyone else does it, I started my first Sunday in church at that rehab. The pastor said something, and I was like, I had the confidence to just stop. I was like, wait, I have a question, because this is how I feel. And we sat and had a conversation about it, and I was like, wow, okay. So it just wasn't as I perceived. Like, I had a lot of questions, and he said, that's normal. That's how God made you.
Yeah, right.
He wanted you to question things.
So it was in this rehab facility, connected with a church right there, that your life began to take on a different shape.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the personal relationship with God is personal.
Yeah, and that's
right.
what changed it for me. That's where my faith grew so strong.
Yeah.
Because it was personal.
Right. Oh man, Heather, I love that. And so you leave that rehab, and what happens next? What's the next step out of there?
So then I did a sober living facility for a year after that.
Okay.
And I knew that the 28-day rehab wouldn't have been enough.
Yeah.
That I just kind of needed some structure to get the discipline back in order in my life. And no, I didn't want to go away for another year, but it was either that or continue to struggle with doing it on my own.
So you sought out help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now, okay, let's, I don't want to jump too fast, but now we're sitting here today. How's the relationship with your son, who at one time was out of the picture of your life, and how's that today?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
For me to, like I was telling you earlier, for me to be able to teach him the skills that I learned, even my family, my immediate family, just the things that I've learned, to utilize them every day.
Right.
Is key. And my son and I think, are stronger now than we were, or we're stronger now than we would have been without my addiction. I know that sounds weird.
Yeah.
And I tell my mom and my dad, I'm just so grateful for my story.
Well, that's the power of God in your life, Heather, because, I love what Scripture says, God works all things together for the good. But that's if we let him, I mean, like, your story could have been bad, but we're here today because you're allowing God to use your story for good, and I'm so proud of you for that.
Thank you.
And you've got a new job now.
I do.
Yeah, and you said, like, a 40-hour-a-week job.
First one in many years.
Yeah.
It was very exhausting.
Yeah, I know how that can be. And you've got an apartment you're in and all of that. You know, one of my favorite stories, Heather, was when you signed up to volunteer in our tech booth, and we have to get there pretty early. And you were like, okay, I can get there. It's a 38-minute walk from the bus stop, and I'll have to leave my house around like 5 a.m. We were like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Heather's willing to jump on a bus, walk 38 minutes at 5 a.m. to get here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just love that about you so much.
I can't believe you remember that.
Oh yeah, that's a
That's
big
so
deal
cool.
to me. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a big deal. And we've talked about the Dollar Club before, you know, and with it we said whatever we collect, Salem for the initial time is gonna match it. And we were able to raise like a sizable amount. The people of Salem have just proven over and over how generous they are. And Heather, we got in a room and we began wondering, what could we do with these funds? And you came to mind.
Me?
You came to mind, and we remembered that 38-minute walk, and we said, what if we bought her a car? And so Heather, today I'm happy to tell you that from the generosity of the people at Salem and from the Dollar Club, we've purchased you a vehicle.
You did?
We did, yeah. And we are so proud of you, Heather.
Wow.
And we're just we're big believers in you and of the way that you've been able to overcome so much, and not claiming you did it on your own strength, but that you did it with the strength of God.
Wow.
We're so proud of the way you've rekindled your relationship with your son, and we're going to give you the car right now.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
You ready to see it?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let's go take a look.
Okay.
Here it is.
Wow.
It's a Hyundai Elantra.
Are you serious?
Yep. She's all yours, Heather. But don't get in that seat. You gotta get in the driver's seat. What am I doing?
Thank you guys so much. Wow.
So I've driven it for a few days. The heat works.
Your Hondas are really good cars.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
are.
go forever.
Absolutely. Yep.
Wow. Oh my God. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome.